Governor Pat Quinn calls it a crisis of epic proportions with a suffocating.
Nearly $900 million behind in payments to schools.
Schools throughout the city and suburbs facing some deep budget cuts.
Our current fiscal emergency leaves me no choice.
Will be cut from the budget. Dozens of teachers will soon be out.
Nearly 20,000 school workers can expect to lose their jobs thanks to budget cuts. Behind, some suburban school districts are taking out loans. Districts are preparing to cut an even greater number of staff than previously thought.
It's obvious to everyone that this state is in a terrible condition financially.
Due to the recession and the economic times, the state revenues are way down. So they had to use the federal stimulus dollars to pay the schools. So since those dollars are no longer available, Governor Quinn's budget caused for $1 billion in cuts to education funding for next school year.
In our district, that means that we are anticipating receiving about $2 million less than we have received in the past from this state.
Districts everywhere were grappling with how on earth do we deal with this. You can't make up a difference like that in chalk and paper. It can't be done.
I went into teaching because I felt, ever since I was really, really little, that I was meant to teach.
I have a clear plastic box. Why do you think I have it clear? So you can see through it, okay?
I love working with kids and just getting to see them love coming here.
Next we have, what's this? A light. A light. Why do you think I have a light? To keep the chicks warm, that's right, okay?
If we can instill a love for learning in them now, it will translate forever. It gives me chills thinking about it because they'll want to go on to college. They're going to want to come back to the community. They're going to go on to be quality members of our society who value education as a whole.
It began when Dr. Mitchell asked if he could come speak to our HEA board, our Homewood Education Association board.
The district office came to Dale, the superintendent, and asked us if we could help them find some way to cut without people losing their jobs.
He asked for our input. He asked for teachers to brainstorm and come up with ways that we could save money that would least affect teaching and learning.
Were there any ideas we can come up to help with the budgeting? It was nice that they even gave us a choice in the matter.
We listen, we value their input. They're in the classroom with the children. The school board is not.
So asking the people who are actually involved with the processes, at that level, where they're the ones who are best able to identify what could we consolidate, what could we cut, what is non-essential.
So we had several meetings and we threw out many suggestions and we had 4 options that we came up with.
He then met with all the faculty, and pretty much everybody was there, over 200 people in the room, 250 probably, and he gave the same kind of presentation, and he had taken all the ideas that we came up with and put them into groups.
Dale, as a very proactive person in the superintendent's position, came to us and asked us actually, what do we see as a way of addressing this? What are some of the possible fixes? And of those fixes, how would we prioritize them? What should be done first through the end of the list?
And from that, a lot of cuts were made, potential cuts were looked at, and it still wasn't going to be enough.
It became pretty clear pretty quickly that you could do those things, but you're still going to be faced with a pretty significant budget gap. And you have to choose of whether you're going to try to take that chance and things get better quickly, or you have to make additional reductions.
The unfortunate thing is, if deep cuts had to occur, oftentimes it means staff and program.
Who knows what a collage is?
There's a psychologist named Adele Diamond She said that arts education, team sport, address executive function of the brain. Executive function of the brain is what teaches a child how to learn and to put in place a desire to learn. You can do all kinds of things, but you need to have at least 24 pictures. It's things like team sport, it's things like arts education, and even things like organized recess that have been shown to address executive function, things like troubleshooting, problem-solving skills, thinking out of the box, creative solutions, knowing how to work with each other, collaborative venture. Those are the kinds of things that these areas address, and if they're gone, obviously you're not doing the best thing to teach a child how to learn in the first place.
In a school district, the majority of our money goes to pay salaries and covers benefits for our staff. So in order to in any way cut in to the shortfall that we're anticipating, we had to do something about salaries.
And what most schools were doing and what we were looking at doing was reducing our staffing size, which reduces our support services. It might raise class sizes, those types of things.
If you lose your staff, you lose your program, you lose the quality. So the kids will not continue to receive the excellent quality education.
Small class sizes would have been a thing of the past. We would have had larger class sizes, which in the long run does impact how you differentiate your classroom instruction.
They're never going to get these years back. They're not going to get them back. You get second grade once, you get third grade once.
And 1 year can make a significant difference for kids long term. So we want the best staff members, we want the best experience for them.
And we went to the union after looking at what our options were and asked if they would consider taking a pay freeze for the 2010-2011 school year.
The administration was coming to us and letting us know, things are bad. We're going to have to do something.
At first, I think everyone took it pretty personally, and no, we can't do that. We did this 20 years ago, and we've never recovered from that. And then you had people that were close to retirement, and they knew that this would affect them for the rest of their, that would affect what they receive in retirement for the rest of their lives. And even if you're not close to retirement, taking a freeze is still eventually going to impact you as you get closer to retirement even more. And we have people here who are expecting their first child, and we have people who are, their significant other is out of work, and there's, it wasn't an easy thing to just go right into.
It wasn't something that we asked lightly. They deserve that raise. Our staff works so hard and they deserve that raise. But in order to keep every single one of our staff employed and provide for Homewood's children the education that they both need and deserve, we had to look at a pay freeze.
You have to wear two hats, and that's one thing you do being a teacher and living in the community, and that's why this is such a big deal. When you have parentheses in a math problem, change your answer?
Yes.
Okay. I think the community is an extension of the school system, and so being a part of both ends of it was huge.
What's the most important thing in Mr. West's class? What's the most important thing ever? Strategy.
As a community, the first thing you want to do is you want your child to be educated to the best. You want them to have the best opportunity to learn as much as they can. And then from a teacher's perspective, you want to make sure you've given them every opportunity to learn, because you want them to have just an opportunity to do what they want. And with times where they are, those opportunities are being shortened or taken away. You don't have those opportunities as much.
As it got closer to the vote, I really didn't have an idea, a gut feeling about what was going to happen.
No one knew how it was going to go, because there were very vocal people. I mean, there were many of us who were very vocal. There were many of us who were incredibly reticent, and you couldn't necessarily get a read on people.
There were tensions. There were tensions because you don't know financially what someone else can and cannot do, and you have teachers who are just fearful that, you know, they don't want to be out of a job. It was hard.
I was a little afraid, you know, what kind of questions were going to be asked, and I didn't know what kind of environment we were going to be facing, but it was very calm. People asked great questions.
The feeling was one of, in addition to maintaining program, we're also maintaining colleagues and staff. That for us to feel that we are an island unto ourselves, that I'm here and I teach this, and if I don't have to take this freeze, I'll be just fine. That's not really true. It would affect the entire culture of the school, of all 4 schools, that people would be asked to take larger class sizes, that people would ask to take on extra responsibilities because there are fewer people to do the things that need to be done.
And I think as, you know, we listen more and more, we were able to realize that this is something that we need to do. You know, more and more people realized felt that it was something that they needed to do for themselves, for the community, for kids, everything. It was going to benefit everybody in the long run.
The vote was an overwhelming support of the wage freeze. I think it was close to 5 to 1.
I have to be honest, I broke down and cried. They called me on my cell phone after their vote, and they were ecstatic, and it went as they hoped, and it went as I hoped.
I think that there was a great sense of relief in the room, and there may have been others who, you know, might have been disappointed with that vote, but most of us sitting in that room agreed that this was the thing that was best for the district, for us, and for the children.
The very fact that such a huge percentage of our staff said, in order to maintain what we have and how we do what we do, how we deliver what we do, this is the best way, without a doubt.
As the proverb says, it takes a community to raise a child. I think that is so essential here, and I think that it is true. I think the community, I think the teachers, and I think the board work hand in hand together.
It just benefits everybody. People move to Homewood for their schools, and we're proud of that, and we want to keep it that way.
I think people are happy. I know I'm happy. I like the fact that I can think about next year and what plans am I going to use and what things do I want to change or add.
The overall tone of everyone is extremely positive, extremely.